Introduction to the Sulam Commentary. The 10 Sephirot. 1. To begin with, we need to know the names of the 10 Sephirot, namely, Kahab, Haggit, Neim. These are the initial letters of Keter, Chokmah, Bina, Hesed, Vura, Tefereth, Netzach, Hod, Yesod, Malhut. And these are the steps of the 10 concealments of his light created so that the inferior ones can receive his light. It is like the light of the sun, which is impossible to look at without a smoked glass, which weakens its light to the brightness which the sight can perceive. In the same way, the inferior could not comprehend his light if it were not concealed by these 10 concealments, called the 10 Sephirot, so that the lower the Sephira, the more of his light it hides. 2. And these 10 Sephirot are the meanings of the 10 holy names from the Torah, the name Aleph Hei, which stands for Ada Hu Hashem Ha-Elokim, you are the Lord God, is Sephira Keter. The name Yud Ki is Sephira Chokmah. The four-letter name pronounced as Elokim is Bina. The name Kale is Hesed. The name Elokim is Gvura. A four-letter name with Shvaz voices, Holam, comets, is Tefereth. The name Tsevet is Netzach and Hod. The name Shaddai is Yesod. The name Adni is Malhut. Sort out what is written in the book of Zohar for the weekly reading of Vayikra, pars 157, 163, 166 to 177, pages 54 to 60. 3. And although we number the 10 Sephirot, they amount to no more than 5 Binat, called Keter, Chokmah, Bina, Tefereth, Malhut, the essence of which is carefully explained in the introduction to the wisdom of the Kabbalah from its beginning to page 7. Carefully consider what is written there, for all the details given there are not repeated here, but are the essence of that wisdom. And the 10, and we number the 10 Sephirot, because Sephira HaTiferet consists of 6 Sephirot, called Hesed, Vura, Tefereth, Netzach, Hod, Yesod. And that is why there are 10 of them. And the reason for this is said in the preface to the book of Zohar in Maroti HaSulam, on page 5. And these 5 Bechanot Keter, Chokmah, Bina, Tefereth, and Malhut are distinguishable in every Netzel and in every Nivra, i.e., creation. See explanation of the concepts of Masel and Bor, as in the generality of all the worlds, which represent the 5 worlds. Called Adam Kadmon, Aselet, Bria, Yetzirah, Asiya, and corresponding to the 5 Behinot Keter. Chokmah, Bina, Tefereth, Malhut, and in the smallest existing particular we distinguish that Rosh is Keter, and that which is from Rosh to Hazi is Chokmah, and that which is from Hazi to Tabur is Bina, and that from Tabur and below is Tefereth and Malhut. And the concept of the 5 worlds is explained in the introduction to Wisdom of the Kabbalah, verses 6 to 10, see what it says. Why does Tiferet include Hesed, Vura, Tiferet, Netzach, Hod, Yesod? 4. When the 5 Bechanot, phases, Keter, Chokmah, Bina, Tiferet, and Malhut appeared, they began to include each other, so that each of them consisted of Keter, Chokmah, Bina, Tefereth, and Malhut. However, in the Sphirat HaTiferet the levels of the first three spirit descended, and so the names of Keter, Chokmah, Bina, Tifereth and Malhut, the prisoners therein, were changed to Hesed, Vuru, Tifereth, Netzach, Hod and the Yesod that contains them. Consequently, we say that Tifereth includes the sixth spirit, not because that it has risen to the first three Sphirat, but on the contrary, because of its loss of the light of the first three Sphirat the five Behinot Keter, Chokmah, Bina, Tifereth and Malhut contained in it acquired other names, namely, Hesed, Vura, Tifereth, Netzah, Hod. Thus, Hesed is Keter, Vura is Chokmah, Tifereth is Bina, Netzach is Tifereth, and Hod is Malhut. And to these was added Sphirat HaYesod, which is not Bina, complementing the five binotes, but only encapsulating them, because it contains within itself all five spirit Hesed, Vuru, Tifereth, Netzach, Hod. And they are always called VAK, which is an acronym for Vav Zavat, literally, 6 ends, meaning these six spirit Hesed, Vura, Tifereth, Netzach, Hod, Yesod. And as a result of this descent of the five Binot to Hesed, Vura, Tifereth, Netzah, Hod, Yesod, nothing is formed but Zir Anpin, i.e., the small countenance. Therefore, we refer these five distinct Binot only to Zir Anpin. Light and vessel. 5. Light cannot exist in any world without a vessel. And what a spiritual vessel is explained in the introduction to the wisdom of the Kabbalah, Paras 3-4, see what it says. And at first in the 10 Sphirat there was only one vessel, i.e., Malhut, and all five Bechanot Keter, Chokmah, Bina, Tifereth, and Malhut, of whose existence we speak, are only parts of Malhut, called Behina, stage, phase of development, Dalit, i.e., they are arranged in order of approach to the perfect vessel, namely, Malhut, called Bina Dalit, as it says in the introduction to the wisdom of the Kabbalah, n. 5, see what it written there. And after Tzimtzum Aleph, i.e., the first prohibition to receive the light, in the vessel of Malhut is set up by the Masa, which prevents the higher light from clothed in it. And so when supreme light reaches the Masak strikes it and reflects it back. And this impact is called Zivug Da'aka, i.e., the joining as a result of the opposition, called impact, to the supreme light on the part of Masa, who is in the vessel of Malhut. And the light reflected back is called the 10 Spirit Dor Hoser, i.e., the returning light, for the light, reflected back, rises from below upwards and embraces the 10 Sphirat of the highest light, which are called the 10 Sphirat Dor Yasher, i.e., the direct light. And out of this returning light new vessels were formed to clothe the higher light in place of Malhut, to whom forbidden to receive the light. What these new vessels represent, called the 10 Sphirat of the returning light, is explained in the introduction to the wisdom of the Kabbalah, Paras 14:26, i.e., in the first, the second, and third parts of the introduction. Look carefully at what is written there. Rosh, To, Saf, P, Tabur, Siam Raglan. 6. And because of the existence of new vessels of returning light in each partouf, 3 parts are distinguished, called Rosh, i.e., the head, toe, i.e., the inside of the body, Saf, i.e., the limit, the place where the body ends. For it was explained that because of Masak, i.e., the screen, preventing the coming of the light to Malhut, there was Zivig De Kaa in Haor, i.e., connection with the light due to opposition to him. The 10 Sfirat of the returning light appeared and clothed the 10 Sfirat of the direct light, existing in the highest light. And these 10 Sfirat of the direct light and the returning light are called the 10 Sfirat Darash. However, these 10 Sfirat of returning light, appearing from Masak and above and enveloping the 10 Sfirat direct light, are not yet true vessels, for the name vessel indicates the stage of the ovi, synonymous with the word aviyat, meaning selfish desire, existing in it, i.e., the power of the attribute of judgment inherent in Masa, which does not allow the light to clothe itself in Malhut. And there is a law that the power of the attribute of judgment operates only from the location of the attribute of judgment and below, and does not operate from the location of the attribute of judgment and above. And since the 10 Sfirat of the returning light appeared from Masa and above, as already stated, the power of the attribute of judgment in the returning light is indistinguishable and unfit to be a vessel. And that is why the 10 Sfirat of the returning light are called by the name of Rosh. This means that Rosh is the source of the vessels, not the vessels themselves. And Malhut, in which the Masa is set for the Zivig De Kaa, for this reason is called Pe, i.e., the mouth. This draws a parallel with the mouths of the material, as if from them, with the help of Zivig De Kaa of the 5 sources, which are in the mouth, come out 5 letters, in Hebrew, Odiot. The same applies to Pe in the spiritual world, in it occurs Zivig. Deaka, leading to the emergence of the 10 Sfirat of the returning light, representing the 5 Behinat Keter, Hakma, Bina, Tifereth, and Malhut. It has already been said above that they are the vessels of the 10 Sfirat of direct light, and the vessels are called Odiot. Here is the explanation of the 10 Sfirat Darash. See the drawing in the or Baruch below this text. 7. And so the 10 Sfirat of the direct light and the 10 Sfirat of the returning light the 10 Sfirat of the returning light were to spread down from Masa, so that in so doing the 10 Sfirat of the returning light became a stage of the vessels receiving and clothed with the 10 Sfirat of direct light, for now Masak is already above the 10 Sfirat of the returning light, and therefore Aviyat, who is in it, has dominion over the 10 Sfirat of the returning light, since in this way the vessels were formed. And these 10 Sfirat, which are the true vessels, are called names Tak and Guf, i.e., they are within the inner part and, within, the outer part and, inside, the Guf, i.e., the body, of the Parzuf. And Malhut Toe is called Tabur, i.e., navel, which comes from the expression, Tabur Haaretz, i.e., the navel of the earth, Shoftim 9:37, Yechezkel 38:12, even Shoshan in his concordance to the Tanakh translates center of the earth, means the center and the middle and indicates that Malhut Datak is the central Malhut, for out of its returning light were formed the true vessels of Guf. And in addition, it may be said that the word Tabur, Tetbet Vav Resh, consists of the letters of the expression Tov or Tet Vav Bet, Aleph Vav Resh, good light, and this indicates that up to this place the light is good, as it is clothed in vessels fit to receive it. This is the explanation of the 10-spirit Datak to Tabur is given. 8. And so we find in Malhut Darash 2 steps. 1. The step of Malhut Shimi Siamat, i.e., which completes receiving the light. The term Malhut Haim Siamat means that the Masa does not allow the supreme light to put on the vessel of Malhut. 2. The step of Malhut Hamis Davjit, i.e., committing Zivag, for if the supreme light would not unite with Masak, meaning the Zivag Da'aka, raising the returning light to clothe the highest light, there would be no receptacles of receiving for the supreme light and no light would exist, because there is no light without a vessel, as already stated. And in Malhut Darash, these 2 stages exist only as a stage of the 2 sources, for Malhut Haim Samet is the source of Malhut, the completing step. And Malhut Haim's Davjit is the source of the vesting of light in the vessels. And these 2 actions unfolded and arose in the Guf Parsif, for from Pe to Tabur, Malhut Hamas Davagat manifests its power, because there comes the supreme light to clothe itself in vessels. And from Tabur and below Malhut, the Haimsim Samet manifests its power. Power and generates the 10 Sphirat Desayim, i.e. completion, of luminescence, for each Sphira appears only in the glow of the returning light without the highest light, and when it reaches Malhut of these 10 Sphirat Desayim, the whole Parzuf is completed, because this Malhut is the Malhut of the Hamathasameth who receives nothing, and therefore it completes the distribution of the Partsuf. And this Malhut we call Malhut Desayim Raglan, i.e. the lower edge of the feet, cutting off the light and completing the Partsuf. And these 10 Spirit Desayim, extending from the Tabur down to the Siam Raglan, are called the 10 Spirit Desuf, i.e. the limit of receiving the light, since they are parts of Malhut Saf and Siam. And when we say that there is nothing in them but one returning light, it does not mean that they have no direct light at all, but it does mean that they also have a little glow of direct light, but it is considered Vav Savat, literally the 6 ends, i.e., the 6 Sphirat of Zir Anpin, without Rosh. See also Introduction to the Wisdom of the Kabbalah, pages 50 to 53. Haze. 9. Thus far we have spoken of the Parsifs, of the world, of Adam Kadmon. However, in the Parsifs of the world of Atzilut a new Siam is added in the 10 Sphirat Dato, for Malhut Dato, which is called Tabur, ascended to Bina, which belongs to the 10 Spirit Dato, and completed there the 10 Spirit of the step of Top, and this Siam is called Haze, i.e., the chest. And there occurred a division by means of Parsa, which meaning, separation, i.e., the new Siam, which arose by the raising of Malhut to Bina, in the place of Haze, which is called Parsa and which is essentially the firmament that separates the upper waters. See Bereshit 1, 6-8, i.e., Keter and Hakma, which remained on the stage of Top, from Bina and Tifereth and Malhut, who went beyond the stage of the 10 Sfirat to Tow and became the stage of the 10 Sfirat to Saf. And therefore the 10 Sfirat to Tak is divided into 2 stages. That which is from Pe to Haza is considered a stage of the 10 Sfirat to Soa. The stage of the 10 Sfirat to Tow, and also of Asalit, and the stage of the first 3 Sfirat to Guf. And what is from Hazi and below, up to Tabur, is considered a stage of the 10 Sfirat to Saf, as well as Bria and a stage of Vav Savat, literally the 6 ends, i.e., the 6 Spirit of Zir Anpin, without Rosh is like the 10 Spirit to Saf. And the point is the rise of Malhut to Bina and the new Siam formed in the middle of each steps, see below, and 15 to 16. Arrangement of vessels and lights in reciprocal reverse order. 10. The lights and vessels are always arranged in reciprocal reverse order. For the order of the vessels is such that the higher vessels grow first in the Partsef, so that first in the Partsef appear the Keter, and then the Hakma, and then the Bina, and then the Tifereth, and then the Malhut. And so we list the vessels as follows: Keter, Hakma, Bina, Tifereth, and Malhut. That is, from top to bottom, for that is the order in which they appear in the Partsef. And the lights are arranged in reverse order, i.e., the lowest come into the Partsef first, so that the light of Nefesh comes first, and then the light of Ruah, and then the light of Neshama, and then the light of Hea, and then the light of Yehid. Thus, first comes the light of Nefesh, i.e., the light of Malhut, the least of all the lights, and at the end comes the light of Yehid, the greatest of all the lights. And so we always list the lights in this way: Nefesh, Ruah, Neshama, Hea, Yaida. That is, from the bottom to the top. For this is the order in which they come to Partsef. 11. And from this it follows that when there is nothing but one vessel in the Parzuf, which necessarily is the supreme vessel, i.e., the vessel of Keter, which has grown in the beginning, then in the Partsef the light which belongs to the vessel of Keter, i.e., the light of Yehid, but only the smallest light, namely, the light of Nehemiah, enters the Parzuf. Light, namely the light of Nefesh, and is clothed in the vessel of Keter. And when 2 vessels have grown in Partsef, i.e., the greatest vessels, namely Kather and Hakma, then the light of Ruah also enters the Partsef. And then the light of Nefesh descends from the vessel of Keter into the vessel of Hakma, and the light of Ruah is clothed in the vessel of Keter. In the same way, when the 3rd vessel, i.e., the vessel of Bina, has grown in the Partsef, the light of Neshama enters into the Partsef, and then the light of Nefesh descends from the vessel of Hakma into the vessel of Bina. And the light of Ruah comes out of the vessel of Keter and comes into the vessel of Hakma. And the light of Neshama is clothed in the vessel of Keter. And when the Parzuf has grown, the 4th vessel, that is, the vessel of Tifereth, the light of Hea enters the Parzuf. And then the light of Nefesh descends from the vessel of Bina into the vessel of Tifereth, and the light of Ruah into the vessel of Bina, and the light of Neshama into the vessel of Hom, and the light of Hea into the vessel of Keter. And when a fifth vessel, i.e., the vessel of Malhut, has grown in Partsif, then all the lights come into those vessels to which they belong. For in doing so, the light of Yaida and the light of Nefesh descends from the vessel of Tifereth into the vessel of Malhut, and the light of Ruah descends from the vessel of Bina into the vessel of Tifereth, and the light of Neshama descends from the vessel of Hakma and comes into the vessel of Bina, and the light of Hea descends from the vessel of Keter and comes into the vessel of Hakma, and the light of Yaida comes and is clothed in the vessel of Kather. 12. So you have it that until all 5 vessels of Keter, Hakma, Bina have grown in the Partsif, Tifereth, and Malhut, the lights are not where they should be. And what's more, they are arranged in reverse order, so that if the vessel of Malhut is not reached in the Parzuf, i.e., the smallest vessel, then the light of Yehid, i.e., the largest light, will not be reached. If the 2 lower vessels, Tifereth and Malhut, are not reached, then the 2 higher lights, Yehid and Hea. And if it will not reach the 3 lower vessels of Bina, Tifereth and Malhut, it will not reach the 3 higher lights of Neshama, Hea, and Yaida. And so on in exactly the same way. In the same way. For until all the 5 vessels of the vessels of Keter, Hakma, Bina have grown in the Partsif, Tifereth, and Malhut, the order of the vessels and the lights is reciprocated, so that if one light and 1 vessel will be lacking, then of the lights the largest light will be lacking. I.e., the light of Yehid, and vice versa, of the vessels the smallest vessel will be lacking, i.e., the vessel of Malhut, and so on in exactly the same way, as already mentioned. 13. And in doing so, you must understand that when we say that because of Malhut's ascent to Bina, the step began to terminate below, Spirit, Hahakma, and so there is nothing left on the step except the 2 Spirit Keter and Hakma, and Bina and Tifereth and Malhut from this step disappeared and descended, cf. Written below, in item 17, it is said only about the stage of the vessels, and as for the stage of the lights, on the contrary, the lights of Nefesh and Ruah remained on the stage, and the lights of Neshama, Hea, and Yaida from that stage disappeared. 14. And in doing so you must understand that as it is sometimes said in the book of Zohar, when Malhut ascended to Bina, the 5 letters of the name Elohim were divided in such a way that the 2 letters Man Yud, forming the word Me, which means who, remained on the step, and the 3 letters Aleph Lamed K, forming the word Ele, which means they, these, and in the context of the quoted expression, Mi bara Ele, who created them, in the fuller version, lift up your eyes and see who created them, Yeshayahu 40:26, translated, there, went out and disappeared from the step, as it is written in the preface to the book of Zohar, page 20, in commentary, Sulam, beginning with the words, and of this it is written he made them, the fragment, who made them, according to Eliyahu, page 13. And sometimes in the book of Zohar, on the contrary, it says that when Malhut ascended to Bina within the step remained 2 letters Aleph Lamed, and 3 letters Kayedem Safet disappeared and descended from the step, as it is written in the book of Zohar on the weekly reading of Bereshit, Volume 1, page 59, fragment, Let There Be a Vault, pages 64 to 65. And the point is that the 5 letters of the name of Elohim are the 5 Spirit Keter, Hakma, Bina, Tifereth, and Malhut, or the 5 lights of Nefesh, Ruah, Neshama, Hea, Yaida. In fact, as for the vessels, during Malhut's ascent to Bina, the Kathar and Hakma were left on the step, representing the 2 letters Aleph Lamed. And the 3 letters Kayud Mem Safit descended from the step. And as for the lights, on the contrary, the 2 lower letters Mayam Yud, indicating the 2 lower lights of Nefesh Ruah, remained within the step, while the 3 upper letters, Aleph Lamed K, pointing to the lights of Yehid, Hea, and Neshama, went out and disappeared from the step. Hence, in the preface to the book of Zohar speaks of the 5 lights of Nefesh, Ruah, Neshama, Hea, Yaida, which are indicated by the 5 letters of the name of Elohim. Therefore it says that the Mem Yud remained, and the Aleph Lamed K went beyond the step. And in the book of the Zohar on the weekly reading of Bereshit, Volume 1, speaks of the 5 vessels of Keter, Hakma, Bina, Tifereth, and Malhut, which are indicated by the 5 letters, name, Elohim, and therefore it says, in reverse, that a word formed by 2 letters, Aleph Lamed, i.e., Kale, meaning God, remained within the step, and the 3 letters of the word, Kayud Mem, i.e., Hayam, meaning see, went beyond the step. And it is necessary to remember these words, so that one may always watch whether it is said of the lights or of the vessels, and in this way many seeming contradictions will be clarified.